Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged. That's my guy.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Guilty as Charged podcast, coming to you live after the first day of Chargers training camp 2025. Massive news day for the Chargers. Easily the most busy day one of training camp that I can remember. And we potentially could still get like news on a certain extension later today. Not dropping any hints. I don't have any information, but theoretically still possible. Either way, crazy news day. I can't remember anything like this. Heck of a day to come back on a red eye from Hawaii. Tyler, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Yeah, well, what the heck happened to you guys over this last week, man? An hour before my flight started, it's like, oh, Najee Harris with the firework incident, and then everyone made a big deal about the visit to the White House. I'm like, okay, I'll go on vacation. And then the jerseys drop, and then today, like, holy cow, what a roller coaster of a day. Thankfully, it kind of ended on a positive note with a certain rookie signing a certain contract. But yeah, what a day to come back.
Yeah, what a day to come back. If you are a fan of wide receivers, that is obviously going to be the topic of the day. Mike Williams retires, Tre Harris signs, Jalen Reagor potentially stock up. Just very normal stuff here, as Alex Insdorf points out. So we're going to dive into all of that. We'll have some other things that we'll touch on, maybe take some questions, things like that. Before we get there, any takes you want to get off your chest about the new uniforms or anything like that?
I didn't hate the gold ones as much as I thought. I know the linemen absolutely are going to hate it. And I know Andrew Whitworth posted like, yeah, I already did this and I hated it. So the linemen, the guys are going to hate it. But if you're Derwin James, Justin Herbert, you look great. I love the idea of the powder blues and the way they've mixed to match those. But the navies they've always been my favorite jersey. They could not have not done that. I told, the Locked On guys knew that I would fly to Fresno and kick your ass if they didn't go Navy. Of course they were going to go Navy. There's no way they weren't going to do that. And it's glorious. And I'm excited for the merch. I'm going broke. My birthday's in a couple of weeks. Maybe get a little like birthday money and then just waste it on, not waste it, use it and invest in Chargers gear.
Yeah, I missed out on the first batch of stuff that came out. There were a couple of the Navy hats that I really wanted, and I was like, oh, like I'll just wait. I get paid tomorrow is my paycheck, and I was like, I'll just wait till Friday. Sold out within like 2 hours, and I'm like, okay. So when they put some other stuff back out there, I made sure to go and get a couple of t-shirts. I was like, okay, I'm not missing out this time. So I'll be at training camp on July 28th. I will definitely be going to like the common store and stuff like that, and stocking up on some stuff, but. They cleaned out on a lot of the Navy stuff in particular. Even on some of the yellow stuff, I was, for all of the people who hated the yellows, the Justin Herbert yellow jersey is like basically sold out. Like you can get like a size small, I think. But that's about it. So yeah, Tyler, if you want a yellow jersey, you can still go grab one.
Thanks. I'm going back on vacation now.
Or medium. Do you wear a medium or a small?
This is like a large or XL. Come on, guys.
No, in all seriousness, the small, like that's for like children. Like, let's be real. All right.
Yeah.
I will say I do have a yellow jersey, the one that I kind of got because you and Alex like hated them. And I like it. It looks good. My thing is that I don't like the all yellow, but that's just me. Okay, before we dive into our day one recap, of course, I have to tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks, the best and easiest way to consume daily fantasy sports. Obviously, you loyal listeners out there know how much fun we've had with it, how successful Tyler's mom has been with it in particular. So my family uses it as well. It's a great conversation starter at work. I've gotten a lot of my friends over to the Prize Picks side instead of the other side of fantasy sports and things like that. Obviously, basketball season is over. Unless you're into women's basketball, which they have stuff on there as well. Football season right around the corner, but baseball season is just heating up. Make sure you step up to the plate with Prize Picks and add your favorite baseball players to your lineup. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, make your call with more or less and play for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Prize Picks is the best way to consume daily fantasy sports, and you can download the app, use the code GUILTY for a $50 deposit match on your first play. Again, that is the app, Prize Picks app, code GUILTY at checkout. It is the best and easiest way to support our show and yourselves with your winnings over at Prize Picks. Okay, let's dive in here. Shocker of the day, obviously, is the retirement of one Mike Williams. Joe Ortiz was at the reporting day yesterday saying that he was going to be placed on the PUP list with a minor injury. They believed that he was going to be back out there at practice any day, to steal his exact words. Instead, right after the Chargers begin practicing, it comes out from Adam Schefter that Mike Williams informed the team last night that he has actually decided to retire. Per Adam Schefter, again, the exact quote here, Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams' agent Torrey Nanny informed the team last night that after 8 seasons, his client is retiring from the NFL. Williams walks away from the game at age 30. So 30 has kind of become that like magic number. There's been quite a few retirees at age 30 this season. I don't know if we necessarily have to rehash like our thoughts of Mike Williams, the player. I think we did that when he was cut, and I don't know if we have to do that again. Obviously, if you have any extra thoughts there. But your instant reaction to Mike Williams retiring is what?
Well, the instant reaction was, well, we also have a rookie X receiver that's holding out, so we're totally screwed. So that was part of the initial reaction. We'll talk about how that's, a little bit better now. But the first part was just the human side, right? Like, is he okay? I hope everything's okay. Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it both? Probably is both. I don't ever question his integrity and his willingness to compete and put everything out on the line. Like, we know for sure Mike Williams will suffer and injure himself, obviously accidentally, to be out there for his team. So if he feels like he has to walk away, all the power to him. It obviously sucks. Like that's the second part of this reaction. First was, wow, hope nothing, for nothing but the best for him. The second part is that this sucks for Justin Herbert and for the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh gave a quote an hour before, like, the offense needs to step up and rise to Justin Herbert's level, and we need to surround him, and we're going to do our best to support him. And an hour later, Mike Williams retired.
Dude, he said that he talked to President Trump about the weapons around Justin Herbert. Like,
and then his weapon informs them yesterday that he's done. So it's July 17th. And everything that he could have provided for the offense is gone. I went back and looked at our reaction to the signing, and you and I weren't exactly like, wow, yeah, Mike Williams, 2,000 yards incoming. But we couldn't help but, like, we understood what this meant for the Chargers. They needed a boundary guy, and we said, like, anything better than DJ Chark was last year. Funny enough, they're going to get less than that this year somehow. But
yeah,
the jump ball stuff, the boundary stuff, the red zone work, that's all gone, and that's a bummer. I think the Chargers, they gambled twice. They tried to go for a low-cost player, incentive-laden contracts with guys with injury histories, with DJ Chark and now with Mike Williams, and both haven't paid off. So, I know you and I were like pro Adams for a certain price, a reasonable price. I think I wish they would have paid that price, although I'm very happy with Tre Harris.
Yeah,
went the discount route, and it fell flat. But ultimately, and we can talk about the contract that was signed, now that Tre Harris does have that contract, I'm excited for him, because if Mike Williams were healthy, Ladd McConkey's not coming off the field. And as they've kind of done, like, Quentin Johnston's going to be out there ahead of Tre Harris for a bit, and would have been out there ahead of him in a role that might suit him. Like, maybe Quentin Johnston's the Z, so Tre Harris can't be that. So is he the X? No, that's Mike Williams. With Mike Williams, quote unquote, out of the way now, I don't know if Tre Harris is immediately a starter and playing a ton of snaps, but he'll be a lot more involved early on. So at least for him, that's positive. And for me, it's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, the Tre Harris stock is definitely up, and we'll talk a little bit about his contract situation here in a minute. But they signed Mike Williams, I don't think with the intention of getting like a true, like wide receiver 2 that he was previously. I think they signed him with the understanding, we have this wide receiver 1, Ladd McConkey. Let's fit these particular roles that we don't want Ladd necessarily doing, and we'll fill out the roster the rest of that way. So they tried to do it last year with Chark and then with Fehoko and with Rice and things like that. But they want some bigger physical guys on the outside. So Ladd and Quentin Johnston, by extension, don't necessarily have to do that. And so going out and getting Mike Williams, who the quarterback is obviously intimately familiar with, and then drafting Tre Harris, I like it. It makes a lot of sense. So you have your two big physical boundary guys, and then you draft KLS, add him to the speed, presence on that side of things. Jalen Reagor is fast, who we'll talk again about later. And then you have Ladd and Quentin, who can kind of do a lot of the crossing routes over intermediate stuff. Obviously, Ladd can do a whole lot more. But the overall construction of the room, to me, made sense, even if like we all wanted them to be a little bit more proactive there. I could at least understand the roles. And now you love Tre Harris. I really like Tre Harris. It just puts a ton of pressure on him to fill that role. And he was never going to be 100% Mike Williams. Like, Mike Williams is a very unique football player. But I don't even know if they signed Mike Williams to play, 40 snaps a game. I think they signed Mike Williams to play 20 snaps a game and be able to kind of split that role with Harris. And now that role is gone. So it is a very important role of the offense. Like, going back and watching some of the games from last season, Justin Herbert is very willing to, you're one-on-one on the boundary, I'm going to throw you a contested ball. And weirdly, like, the best one at that last year was probably Reagor in like 2 games. It's just not who Quentin Johnston is. I don't believe it's who Keandre Lambert-Smith is. I don't believe it's who Brendan Rice is. So now it's like the only player who can do that is Tre Harris. So it's in a very important part of their offense, even if it wasn't going to lend itself towards Mike Williams, having a 1,000-yard season and 10 touchdowns. But, it just puts that much more onus on the rookie to come in and perform. And is he capable? Yes. But now it's like they don't have any wiggle room. Like, if he struggles with the playbook, which I don't think is necessarily likely, if he struggles to get on the same page with Justin Herbert, et cetera, there is some gray area here where it's like, okay, if this is happening, we can just pivot to Mike Williams. Now they don't have that. So it does take away some flexibility. It does take away some veteran leadership. Like, now,
yeah,
Jalen Reagor is your vet in the room. Like, I don't know how much I like that. So that from the roster standpoint, from an offense standpoint, not that this is going to break the season, but it definitely, changes things and alters things more so than people might think.
It just chips away. Like, Mike Williams retiring doesn't make me think, oh, now they're only winning 9 games. But there's a few things going on right now that have just chipped away at the ceiling of what I thought they could do this year. And Mike Williams, maybe does he win them several games? No. But is there one game where that one touchdown matters, or that one 4th down conversion matters?
Yeah.
He can get it. Like, yeah, that's what you brought him in for. So, like you said, the chemistry with Tre Harris, it'll get there, but it's not there. He's a rookie, and he's, again, we'll talk about the contract, but he's a rookie. Keandre Lambert-Smith is a rookie, and it seems like it's Jalen Reagor out there as your vertical pushing individual, which is it's something else for sure. Everyone in the chat at this point is bringing up an Amari Cooper, a Keenan Allen, a Gabe Davis, Allen Robinson, you name it. Obviously, post news, that was all we talked about. Like, what veteran can we bring in to right the ship? Do you still feel that's necessary with Tre Harris now signing his rookie contract, which I guess we can get into?
I do. I think that part of the flexibility aspect of things is just really needed. Like Matt Harmon tweeted out, Keandre Lambert-Smith, for what it's worth, had a good day today. It sounds like most of the stuff was in like 7-on-7 situations.
Sure.
And Matt Harmon tweeted out that he would rather like see what you have in KLS and then figure it out, which I don't necessarily think is like the worst idea here. But we're in July. Like, I think you can definitely sign somebody off the street here for relatively cheap to, at minimum, just like give you that extra depth and bring in a veteran presence. And I do think that part does really matter. And I think that's an aspect that Mike Williams, maybe he's not been like the most vocal leader by all accounts, but having the younger players be able to look at a guy and say, this is what it looks like, this is how it is. That's a lot to put onto Ladd's shoulders, because Ladd is the wide receiver 1. Yeah. And he is taking that step of leadership, it sounds like, according to Sanjay Lal. but that's a lot of responsibility on a player who is in his second year. I would like a veteran presence in there, even if it's not a starter. Like I think we pegged Mike Williams as a starter because of his relationship with Justin Herbert, Gabe Davis, Amari Cooper. Those guys don't have that history. But even if they're not starting, I think there's still a real value to bringing them in and having that veteran presence to finish training camp and show them like, hey, this is how you practice, this is how you do this. And at the very least, like ask questions. The young guys can ask them questions at any point in time. So I still think it's necessary. Again, just for the leadership, for the insurance. To me, you're looking for somebody specifically who can be that contested catch guy on the outside, which I understand why everybody is asking for Keenan Allen. And like, yes, Keenan definitely would help the room overall, but you've already filled that role. Like you've already put resources into that specific spot, which is Ladd. Quentin goes into the slot from time to time, or on the Gadsden will go into the slot from time to time. You need a boundary jump ball X receiver, and that's not Keenan. Like I love Keenan, but that's not what they need right now. What they need right now is Mike Williams, or in this case, somebody who can replace what Mike Williams is.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't mean if they sign, let's say it's an Amari Cooper, Gabe Davis, or whatever, it doesn't mean that player, although it'd be nice if they worked out all the way through, it doesn't mean that veteran has to be the starter all the way through. But if you are I guess July 17th, if you're looking down weeks 1, 2, and 3 being 3 division games, and you absolutely cannot start 0-3, 1-2 in the division to start the season, I would rather they get a veteran player in there early, mix in the rookies. I mean, again, we've talked about this a million times. I'm sure our audience is sick of it, but Ladd McConkey took until like October 27th to have his breakout game. That's because Greg Roman's like, we're going to work things. And he was competing with nobody. We're going to work him in, this and that, blah, 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 blah. We'll lean on our veterans, lean on Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnson, whatever, and make it work. And then Ladd McConkey got going with really no one to compete with. So I would like them to I hope Tre Harris has a great season. I think he'll have a really good season for a rookie, a second round pick who's not the wide receiver one on this team. But I would like a veteran in there. I just don't know how much of one, not in terms of like how much veteran they are, but like, are they officially a starter or are they just a veteran in the room? I'm not sure where I fall with that yet.
Yeah, and people in the chat saying that Jalen Reagor is a veteran. He is technically a veteran, but I don't know if that's the guy you want to be like your model veteran player. Not to say that he's like a bad player or anything, but you want somebody with more experience. You want somebody with more of a track record. And at the like, I know people will be like, "Oh, Gabe Davis wasn't that good." Like he's had some really strong playoff performances. He is big. He is physical. He is fast. He can do most of what Mike Williams can do from a profile standpoint. Is he going to leap over 3 defenders in New Orleans and catch a ball where he's like parallel to the ground? Probably not. That's a very Mike Williams thing. But I think Gabe Davis would fill a very smart role with this offense. He can block. I think that just makes a lot of sense to me. We talked about Amari Cooper in the spring because he has that connection to Sanjay Lal. Is he an upgrade over Mike Williams? Maybe not specifically in this offense, but I think like talent wise, probably he's certainly healthier right now. So I think the Chargers have some decent options here. I would like to see them go fill that role that way and just at least give them some options here. And I don't want to overreact to one day of Keandre Lambert-Smith 7-on-7 touchdowns and things like that. My evaluation of him was that he's best as like a vertical Z receiver who can do some gadget things. Like I think you want him off the ball. I think you want him using his speed. I don't think you want him on the X, on the boundary, catching contested catch routes, comebacks on the sideline, back shoulder fades, stuff like that. And I think the only player on the roster that the Chargers have that can do that is Tre Harris right now. So I think they need somebody else to be able to do that. Does it have to be Gabe Davis or Amari Cooper? No, but I do think they need to go be aggressive, as aggressive as they can be at this point in time to fill that role.
Yeah. If I had to guess, though, I think they're just going to roll with who they have and maybe find like your Des Fitzpatrick type of guy to bring out the backside of the roster. I think I'm very curious when they knew this might be an issue or worse than they thought. I don't know if you've heard anything, but I'm curious at what point. Like, was this something they pretty aware of and just quiet about in the spring? Because if so, they didn't make a move the entire summer, and that kind of indicates where they're going. Or was this very much so a surprise to them? And so maybe they will make a move because, whoops, we just figured this out 2 days ago. So I'm very curious when they started to figure out this was more than a problem. Obviously, he wasn't practicing, so it was a problem. But
yeah,
I guess worse than they thought.
Yeah, so Schefter said that the agent told them last night that he was not going to be coming back. So that would have been after Joe Ortiz had like addressed the media and stuff like that. I don't think they thought that it would be this kind of result after what happened in the spring. I'm not going to share specifics here, just because I don't. I've gotten in trouble on the show doing that a couple of times. There is information that I received that is in the Discord, that is in our private chat, and I would like to keep it there. So if you're not in the Discord, you can definitely go do that. I definitely would encourage everybody to not be like Mike Williams is selfish or Mike Williams is this, Mike Williams is that. This to me is a player who has more than earned the pelts on the wall, playing through so many different injuries across his time. This is not just as simple as like, oh, he just got to training camp and didn't want to play. Like, there is more to it than that. Again, I don't want to share anything specific here.
Yeah.
But Mike Williams, if he were healthy and if he were ready to go and if he were, able to play, I think he would be out there, and I think he would not have retired at this point in time.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer situation. This is a guy who's played through so many different knee, back, shoulder, everything kind of injuries that, to me, I know that if he had been healthy, he would be out there. So I just would caution everybody against being like anti Mike Williams right now, because there's definitely some stuff behind the scenes. And for everybody who thinks that like rehabbing and getting ready for an NFL season is easy, it's just not. Like, I've gone through 2 different knee surgery rehabs, and after you do it once, it's just grueling, and it's such a tough process. You do it multiple times throughout your career as a football player. It's tough, man. Like, this is mentally draining as much as it is physically. So I wish Mike Williams nothing but the best. I know that he would not be making this decision lightly. And if he were healthy, he would be out there. So Mike Williams, love him. Awesome human being, great football player when he was out here. Unfortunately, that it is ending this way.
Yeah, he had so much, I think, to have to prove. 30 years old. It's not like he's 36 and this is kind of the end. Oh my gosh, like he's an old receiver at this point. Right. He still had some stuff to prove. I think it did not work out, with the Chargers at the very end. He goes to the Jets, and then obviously he's traded to the Steelers.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like a cast off afterthought. A lot of negative press about him with the Jets because it didn't, it was Aaron Rodgers with that and whatever. So I think he still had a lot more to prove. So I think if he could be out there, he definitely would.
Yeah. The other part of this that people are asking about is, will the Chargers trade for Terry McLaurin? Will they trade for so-and-so? Yada, yada, yada. I would definitely call Green Bay and see if they would part with Romeo Doubs. Personally, I think that would be a perfect fit. It's not Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is asking for upwards of $30 million contract right now. He will turn 30 in September. I'm like not in favor of the trade in general. But the Commanders would be, the fact that they have not given him any kind of extension is crazy to me. So they're in like this win now mode. They just signed Von Miller. They're actually the oldest team in the league. I saw that the other day, and that was before they signed Von Miller. They're going to get that deal done. It's just kind of a matter of semantics, I think. So trading wise, I think is very difficult. Alex and I talked about this on Tuesday. They're short draft picks next year. Like they really don't have as much flexibility as they did last year. Outside of that, I think they're probably looking at waiting for a cut down day and waiting to see if there's a tier tart at receiver, that kind of addition. But I would be stunned if they went out and traded for somebody at this point in time.
Yeah, they actively, you can say maybe they put in an offer or they considered this, and Joe Ortiz says they put in competitive offers for different players in free agency, but they didn't do any of this or land any of those players in free agency. I don't see now why they would. Obviously, Mike Williams is retiring, so that's part of the equation. But I don't think that forces them to go like, oh shoot, okay, well we didn't get those players. Now let's go get Terry McLaurin and pay probably even more at this point, given that he's still a very good player and the Commanders do need him, and so I don't think they want to just part with him for nothing. So, yeah, I don't see that being the case. Like you said, cut downs make sense to me. I think it just ends up being a wide receiver 6-7 kind of veteran free agent option. I don't really see it being a Gabe Davis or an Amari Cooper unless they think that's a wide receiver 6 or 7, which it's not, which they're not. I think we kind of know who the starting 4.5 are.
Yeah. I'm just going to throw this out there. If Simi Fehoko gets cut in Arizona, like that would not shock me at all if they brought him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because Mike Williams was not going to play special teams. And let's say Tre Harris is the guy they want to roll with at X, and now he's not playing as much special teams. If he was at all, then Simi Fehoko would be an obvious one there.
Yeah. For what it's worth, the Washington Commanders, if they traded Terry McLaurin, their wide receiver room would be Deebo Samuel, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Chris Moore, and Michael Gallup.
Those are names.
So they're not trading Scary Terry. Maybe next year, but that's not happening.
No.
Okay, Tyler, any other thoughts on Mike Williams retiring?
Nope. Just wish him all the best.
Same here. Okay, before we continue on here, our audio audience is going to take a quick break, and then our YouTube audience is going to continue right along. Okay, so the good news from all of this Mike Williams talk is that it made the Chargers hurry up and sign Tre Harris to his rookie contract. We do not know specifics just quite yet. Last night, the 49ers signed Alfred Collins to about 80%, or was it 90%? Remember, it was like 88% guaranteed of his rookie contract. And then this morning before practice, there was a flurry of other second round signings. And then obviously the Mike Williams situation comes out, and then Tre Harris a few hours later signs his rookie contract. So again, we don't necessarily know what percentage of his contract is going to be guaranteed. It is not going to be fully guaranteed, as people, maybe potentially speculated. But we talked about this on Tuesday. Last year's 55th pick overall, Patrick Paul had his contract 60% guaranteed. Based on what else is happening around the league, I think we can maybe see 70 to 75% of this contract be guaranteed. But ultimately, good news, Tre Harris back, presumably should be at practice tomorrow. Which Justin Herbert said that he expects Tre to hit the ground running, and I would as well.
Yeah, I'm glad the deal got done today. There was definitely some uninformed, unnecessary, mudslinging towards Tre Harris, because
it's crazy to me.
Him and 29 other players at the time were in the same predicament, and he wasn't even the next receiver in line. I honestly thought that he was going to have to wait for Burden, because if he gets 90% guaranteed, well, then Burden's must be higher. So I was curious if he was waiting for Burden to do his. Whatever, his is done. But he got it done day one of training camp. For all the blah 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 and stuff about Tre Harris, he got it done. I mean, we heard nothing about great things about him. I had someone reach out yesterday and just reinforce that there's nothing but good things about him. This is a former 2-star recruit, but to work his way, got to Ole Miss, had 1,000 yards in 8 games to close out his career there. High character guy. We didn't need to do any of this mudslinging and stuff. Like you said about Mike Williams, we don't gotta. That cannot be our first instinct, I hope. But again, that is what I don't know what I'm expecting from social media. But anyway, I'm glad this deal got done. I feel much better. I clearly feel very strongly about him and what he can do. I think the Chargers are going to roll with him as a starter, sort of, one of the 3 or 4 very involved guys, which doesn't necessarily make him a starter, but he'll be very involved. So yeah, good news, and thank goodness.
It just came out that the Lions have agreed to terms with Tate Ratledge, so I think the second round situation is trending towards a very positive outcome for those players.
Yeah,
The fact that Tre Harris, is able to get out there and practice again, like I think if there were other players who had started earlier, like this is a non-starter. Like unfortunately, the Chargers were the first team to be back at practice, but Tate Ratledge was also going to hold out. The Lions start practice on Saturday instead of Thursday. So we're at the point now where Tre Harris signs his deal. It's great news. Like we talked about earlier, this just puts extra importance on his ability to start and contribute right away. And Justin Herbert said that he spoke very highly of him and said that he's a pro's pro already and he just does all the right things. So the online situation, I don't know what it is about a holdout that just brings like the most negative reactions towards a player, despite like their track record as human beings, as teammates, as players. And obviously Tre is a rookie, but we are 2 months removed from his press conference where he was talking about putting in all these extra hours and like he has to wake up super early, last one on the bus, and people loved it, ate it up, and then he holds out for a day, and people are like, "Fuck this guy, he's immature." I'm like, you guys, 2 months ago, like it's crazy to me the swing that happens on social media when it comes to attacking players, and I'm like, this guy is like, he's on your team. Like you should be rooting for him to hit his contract and make as much money as possible.
Yeah. And this is a situation, it's he's not the only one holding out. This is not a situation where there's, all this precedent. Oh, this is exactly what he should be doing right now. Everyone's kind of staring at each other going, what do we do at this point? I have no idea.
Right.
So yes, if he were not the first one, I think people would have cared less. But for whatever reason, Tre Harris, all his character stuff, the fact that he ran through the combine with a strain or an injury, whatever it was, the fact that the Chargers, drafted him, which usually is a good stamp of approval on character overall.
Yeah.
Everything we've heard from him, taking the last bus home, talking about like how much he just if it hits me in the hands, it's money. Like I'm going to catch it, and all this stuff about Herbert, the way Herbert talks about him. But sure, like he's an asshole and like is greedy, and it's about NIL and it's about me. Whatever. That's a very toxic part of Twitter and social media that I didn't love. But anyway, he signed and now it's all roses.
Yeah, it is all roses. I'm excited to see him get out there and practice. Even like his ability as a blocker, I think will be very refreshing to watch for Chargers fans. Like he was on the Kay Adams show after like the rookie NFLPA pictures. And Kay asked him about Omari and Hampton. He was like, I can't wait to block for him, is the first thing he said. Like, this is the guy who just like, he's going to love to run block in the NFL. And it's going to be great. Like, again, the Chargers have right now a very strong track record of character, of fit. And I think that's going to play out very well. So he's going to hopefully be at practice tomorrow. We'll see how much exactly he gets involved. But until they sign somebody else, like this is very much Tre Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Quentin Johnson. Like, let's see where you're at from a development standpoint. Let's get you as much reps as possible. And then you have Ladd, and then obviously Jalen Reagor, who we can talk about next year. But these three young guys, and I'm including Quentin, like I know he's been in the league for 2 years at this point, but those three guys, they have to show that they can take steps forward with wherever they're at.
Yeah.
And Sanjay Lal has, mentioned that the two rookies were behind, on like a physicality standpoint. Like they got to hit the ground running here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you didn't like love Keandre Lambert-Smith. I liked him a little bit more than you did, but he's a 5th round pick who now all of a sudden is very much more important than he was previously, because of the Mike Williams retirement, where you and I were kind of talking about it, like, oh, he's probably like he makes the roster, but maybe he's a healthy scratch kind of guy.
Sure.
Tre Harris is your backup, maybe plays on special teams. Now Tre Harris is a starter, and Keandre Lambert-Smith is potentially your 4th receiver on the roster in the offense. So it's not just Tre. Keandre Lambert-Smith also moves up in the pecking order.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, had a good day today. Sure, at 7-on-7. It was nice to hear him get a touchdown pass from Herbert specifically. That means he's actually working with like not the 3rd string guys that he was before. I'm glad to see him practicing at all because we didn't see anything from him in the spring. So
right.
seems good. I'm excited. This reminds me of kind of the same way, even though I think there was one draft class, or maybe it was two. The Packers, you mentioned Dubs. It was Dubs, Watson, Wicks, and those guys. Like it was a ton of young guys.
Draft,
Kraft, yeah, all the young like wideouts in one draft. But how much each of those guys taking a step forward did for Jordan Love, for the offense. It does help when you have a very excellent play caller as well. But I'm excited to see what all these young guys can do.
Yeah, and I think it does, luckily the Chargers, I think, had some foresight in let's add multiple rookies to this room. Whereas, we kind of speculated maybe they would add offensive line, edge rusher earlier, whatever. The fact that they do have Keandre Lambert-Smith and not like another 7th round pick, not, another Cornelius Johnson type, is good. They've gave themselves some nice insurance there. Yeah. Even if Keandre Lambert-Smith is not an X receiver, like he's going to be much more important now. So a couple catches from Trey Lance as well, according to Daniel Popper and Eric Smith and all those guys. So good day overall. I think he's going to get a lot of run with the second team offense at minimum. Any extra reps he gets with the first team offense, I think is very positive.
Yeah, just real quick, looking at the super chats, even though it's kind of out of order. Jesse asks, do we think this helps Brendan Rice's stock? I'm guessing that's Mike Williams retiring. It doesn't hurt it, but I think just Jalen Reagor makes the roster, and that's kind of how it ends.
Yeah, I think it helps him get more reps for sure. Yeah. It gives him theoretically a chance. Again, the Chargers need an X receiver, and Brendan Rice physically has what it takes to get to that point. But for all of the hype that he had last year, he had like a few plays, like it wasn't anything crazy. And then he had a couple drops, a couple of missed timing routes, things like that. Obviously, quarterback play was not great last summer. So he's going to have a much better chance now to make the roster. But he's very firmly behind Jalen Reagor, who we can kind of pivot here to him. He had the play of the day, according to several people, and the coaching staff, Justin Herbert, everybody cannot stop talking about Jalen Reagor. And I know that Alex Insdorf is going to hate that we are going to talk about him this much this offseason, but
sure.
He's consistently showing up in regards to the press conferences. And now, he has these plays where, if he can stretch the defense out, make contested catch situations happen, even if he's not like an X receiver, I think obviously Jalen Reagor is the main beneficiary from a roster standpoint to Mike Williams retiring.
Yeah, it opens it up for him 100%. Not that he is replacing Mike Williams. God, I hope that's not the case. But now, where he was maybe a roster bubble guy before, we've kind of flirted with the idea of keeping him on the roster, just couldn't make it work. Now it's like, yeah, he's making the roster. At sometimes, with the NFL, I think Simi Fehoko the previous year was like he joined like middle of the season or towards kind of the end of the year because of all the injuries to Mike Williams and whatnot. Stuck around.
Signed him off the Cowboys practice squad.
Yeah, then made the 53-man roster the next year. It really kind of seems like, and even maybe more so with this year with Jalen Reagor, jumped in last year. Yes, he had his bad moments, had some good moments, but he just jumped in on the fly, was way more involved than he should have been. But that was just the nature of what happened last year. And sometimes I know it's Jalen Reagor. I know that he was the guy before Justin Jefferson. I know it was not a great start to the career. I know we're hoping that Quentin Johnson does not have the same start to his career, or at least the same finish to his career as well.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to take the feelings out of it and just look at the facts. And he has been running with the ones. He has been healthy, which is more than I can say for some players, of course. Yeah. And he's making plays. Like, yeah, sure. Would I love if a young player would be awesome if Keandre Lambert-Smith were ahead of him on the depth chart and we had 4 years of like really solid wide receiver 4 play from him. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But right now, Jalen Reagor's getting the reps. He's earning the trust. He's been healthy. He's making plays. He made the play of the day today. And yes, I know we said, shorts and whatnot for Keandre Lambert-Smith. Got to say the same thing here. Yeah, sure. It's not a live practice. It's not, an actual game against the Chiefs, but he's making plays. And people last year miss like, Donald Parham's going to make the roster and Simi Fehoko is not. But that's just kind of like what you want. You have to look at what the Chargers are telling you with some of these reps and what's going on and what they're saying. And when everything checks every box, yeah, like that's where Jalen Reagor's at right now. And again, do I think he's like an awesome receiver that's going to change this team? No. But right now, he's like that roster bubble guy that we should be cheering for to make the roster because he's earning it.
Yeah, and if he continues to perform like this, then I think he's definitely going to work his way in onto the roster. And trust with your quarterback is a big thing, man. And for whatever you might think about, Jalen Reagor, Justin Herbert goes to him in contested catch situations. And I understand he fumbled one against the Cardinals, and that sucks. But
he was open.
2 games, he was open, and he made the catch, and it was kind of a free play. But 2 weeks later, they play the Saints, and he goes right back to him, contested catch, and has potentially like one of the 3 best catches of the year of any Chargers pass catcher. And I think stuff like that matters a lot to Justin. If I throw you back shoulder fade ball and you make a great catch and you give it your all to go out there, that matters a lot. Ryan Ficken, being connected to him from their days in Minnesota, where he knows that Jalen Reagor can play special teams, where I don't have to rely on Keandre Lambert-Smith as a rookie to play special teams. He knows he can play Jalen Reagor on special teams. That matters when it comes to making the back end of the roster.
Yeah.
It would be awesome, like you mentioned, if a younger guy would take the spot from him, but it hasn't happened. I don't even think we've heard a peep of Brendan Rice with the second team offense, let alone the first team offense.
No.
Keandre Lambert-Smith is starting to get there, so we'll see what happens there. But Justin Herbert trusts Jalen Reagor. He spoke very glowingly about him, and I know that like Herbert speaks glowingly about everybody. But when he mentions specific things and like route running and he's open and like it's not just like, oh, he's a great teammate and he's a great dude. Like when he talks about specifics, that matters. And him mentioning the speed, I think, is very real. And people mentioning like, oh, do we trust Jalen Reagor in the playoffs? I don't know, man. Like, I don't think so. But when it comes to being the 6th receiver in the room, like the way that he's had his offseason go, plus his special teams potential, I think it matters a lot. And it's going to come down to, I think, like, do they want to keep the 6 receivers for sure? Or is Reagor a practice squad stash kind of player? But I would expect at some point throughout the season, Jalen Reagor is going to be targeted in some kind of clutch situation or in some kind of, second half 2-minute drill or whatever. Like, he's going to be around. It's just, to me, a matter of, do the Chargers want him on the 53, or is he kind of a practice squad stash kind of guy? But I think stock up is definitely fair for Jalen Reagor right now.
Yeah, and maybe he's not a true boundary big X, but maybe he's just a sacrificial X who runs really fast. And they think, hey, you know what? Tre Harris at Z is just working a lot better. We can't put him at X, but we love him at Z. Well, are we putting Quentin Johnson at the X? Like, I guess we could, but like, I don't know. Reagor's got that speed. Herbert trusts him to throw the ball down the field, down the boundary to him. Like, maybe that's the way they do things this year. I don't know. Obviously, we're just spitballing. It's one day, but it's good to talk about these things now so we're not all surprised when he makes the roster. Because I think right now he's not locked in to make the roster because they could easily sign a player and take that dream away. But as of right now, yeah, he's making it.
Yeah, for me, from a 53 standpoint, like Mike Williams retiring does definitely change things. Like, I think you could stand to keep the 5 on the active roster and then stash Reagor on the practice squad. Whereas before it was like they're keeping the 6 because I just don't think you can stash somebody like Keandre Lambert-Smith. So that part might change things. Again, I think right now I probably would have Reagor making the roster just based off of everything we have. But there is a chance maybe they can kind of work some things around here, keep the 5. Again, they could sign somebody else, etc. I think the Chargers, they're in a tough spot right now from a development standpoint where they got to play these guys. But, I think we would all kind of love a veteran X receiver to give them some flexibility.
Yeah. Although you mentioned that Daniel Popper said Jalen Reagor might have been banged up after that touchdown catch.
Yeah. So according to Daniel Popper, he catches that touchdown and then he gets looked at by the trainers and worked the rest of the practice off to the side. So it didn't seem like it was serious. And I think this is kind of the problem of like why you don't want somebody like Jalen Reagor doing the contested catch work, because he is a smaller wide receiver. But yeah, apparently he's a little banged up after that catch. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Popper did not seem to think that it was super serious, but he did not practice the rest of the day after that catch.
Yeah, and they'll be very cautious if he doesn't practice tomorrow. I'm not panicking. Just don't retire.
Don't retire. Oh, that would be horrible.
That's
but
the bar right now.
That's the bar. Just at least continue practicing, please.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay, last thing here from a news standpoint. Again, I can't believe all of this happened today of all days on day one of training camp practice, but we talked a little bit about the Najee Harris situation. He has officially been placed on the NFI list, which for those who don't know, that is the non-football injury list. According to Jim Harbaugh via Daniel Popper, he's been in meetings over the last day. I think he reported last night officially, and then today he's been in meetings. Great to have him. A lot of gratitude that he's here, according to Jim Harbaugh again. So we don't know the extent of the eye injury. The agent obviously tweeted out that they expect him to be ready for the season. Ian Rappaport said that he would miss a few weeks-ish as he comes back from this. Joe Ortiz said that he was at Stanford, getting treatment from the doctors up at Stanford, who are obviously world-renowned and very worth having that time there. So the NFI list is the kind of thing where if he stays on the NFI list through the cutdown day, he would have to miss the first 4 games of the season. But they can activate him at any point through training camp, after cutdown day, whenever. But if he is on the NFI list at cutdown day, he would have to miss the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah, which would be quite a bummer. Not that he's Saquon Barkley. This is not going to transform the Chargers' run game like Saquon did, and even then that was a line thing for the Eagles. Congrats to them on their very good roster that the Eagles fans don't seem to realize that they have. Anyway,
Eagles fans acting like their roster sucks it's oh my gosh. The thing I have learned most this offseason is that Eagles fans are dumb as shit.
Yeah, they've been something, all right. It's not. Yeah, thankfully Jalen Hurts is carrying that trash roster.
Yeah.
But anyway, Najee Harris thankfully plays running back, and he's a veteran. And I don't believe this run game is like like Ben Johnson's very diverse, interesting, and unique run game. I think for the most part, Najee Harris can figure this out. I'm just hoping for no long-term damage or something that, I don't know, forces him to retire. I have to say that now because that's a thing this offseason that we're discussing. I hope, listen, obviously Stanford's got great doctors. Our guy Jameson Omar went to Stanford. Great people, great doctors, all that sort of stuff. It's Stanford. I'm very curious what this is. And I'm sure you guys talked about this at nauseum, so I'm not going to retread it too much, but I hope he's okay. Thankfully, they do have this first round pick in Hampton, who's I think we feel pretty good about.
Yeah.
The only bummer is that kind of like the wide receiver room, like the veteran would then be Haskins if Najee can't play. And that's not
Yeah.
I mean, Haskins.
I guess Jared Patterson's been in the league longer, technically.
Yeah,
but
sure.
practice squads, obviously.
But it's not really, not quite the same thing. Not that Najee Harris can't. Obviously, like you said, he's in team meetings, he's participating, so he'll be there. But there's something about practicing the way you move, yada yada yada. So, hope it's all good. And at this point, it's kind of just a waiting game with him.
Yeah. There's a lot of speculation about the severity of this particular injury. Joe Ortiz mentioned that there was some bruising, around the eye, which is, I think, part of the superficial thing. I don't really know. Until Najee Harris gets out on the field or until he gets at a podium and talks about it, I don't think we're really ever going to know. A lot of people have speculated that the agent is maybe downplaying things a little bit, which could certainly be true.
Sure.
I don't think he would be at the facility still there getting ready for the season if he had lost an eye.
No.
Again, I don't know what the severity here is, but I think if he had lost an eye, I think he would also be retiring today.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I think the Chargers are being patient. I think we have to be patient. I think the fact that he is there and the fact that the agent says he should be ready for the season, I think is good news, at least as it pertains to his long-term health and obviously his short-term health. But
Yeah,
until we see him out there, I just don't know what to expect. Like, obviously there is a relatively serious injury here with his eye, which is no joke. But I don't like I think the conspiracy theories can kind of tone it down a little bit.
yeah. And if it's just ready by week 1, or he can just practice for the 1 week, I think he'll be fine. I watched, Kalen Ballage get plucked off the street and run for like 115 yards against the Raiders with a terrible offensive line in Lynn's offense. So I think, granted, it's not a very easy start to the year. The defensive lines they'll face are very difficult, but I'm not too worried just yet, so long as we don't hear any more like very significant, news or updates on the eye, or it's worse than they thought. Again, we have no idea. There's a whole range when they kind of started to speculate like this was a real thing and the articles came out. It's such a wide range of what this could be. Is it something that'll heal in a few days? Can he see out of it? Is there a laceration? Like what is the range here? I'm glad they say that he's at least going to be ready for the season. And I think for now, we'll just take that at face value.
Yeah. The chat is really funny tonight. I've got to say, you guys are doing some great work out there. Just keep it up. It's been fantastic to watch. It's never good when a player misses camp, right? But I will say that like sorting out the Kamani Vidal, Rocket Sanders situation, it is really important. Like it's not obviously going to break the season by any means if one of those guys it makes the roster or not, but getting them a lot of extra reps. I don't think Najee was really ever going to play a ton in the preseason. No. But getting X amount of extra reps will be great for both of those two players, and that just gives you again some extra depth here and being able to sort things out. So I am excited to see how that plays out. Obviously, we're not going to see a ton until they get into pads and you can really see what those running backs can actually do. But Najee Harris, one of the things he does best is his ability to pass protect. And I think that it just gives him such a high floor within this offense. Now that's a lot of extra pass protection reps go to the young guys, and how they can figure that out, I think is a really underrated storyline from this aspect of Najee's injury.
Yeah, that's a great call. It's a blessing in disguise. Did I just throw I in there? I did disguise. Anyway, yes, I'm happy the younger guys get their reps, and to sort that out is fantastic.
Yeah, Anthony Hopper here with an interesting question or point. He says Tre Harris and Hampton are real Rookie of the Year candidates now. What do you make of that?
Hampton, yes. Tre Harris, no. I don't think Tre Harris clears 700 yards this year unless he really is a true starter out there. Even though I don't buy it, Hampton is definitely the name to circle there. But Ashton Genty's backup running back is what, Kenny McIntosh.
I think it's Raheem Mostert, but yeah,
fine, whatever. The point is, Genty's going to have 4,000 carries and touches this year, and so I think it'd probably be him. Could be a quarterback.
If Cam Ward is decent, he's going to win it. Quarterback award. First overall pick. If he has a decent season, he's going to win.
Yeah, probably. And if he's that division ain't all that. So you win a few games, inspire a fan base, maybe.
Yeah. If the Titans win 7 games and Cam Ward throws for 3,300 yards and 20 touchdowns, that's probably it.
That's another rookie quarterback we can rank over Herbert next year.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I think Hampton is the real option there. Max Crosby was on a podcast. I can't remember whose. I can't remember, but he was saying that they're already planning for Genty to get 25 touches a game. Chip Kelly loves Ashton Genty already, so not a surprise. He was a great prospect.
No, Raiders depth chart. I have to do this. I have to remind myself of what's behind Genty, and I need to remind Chargers fans what's behind him. Again, other than Brock Bowers as well. Although I do like Jacoby Myers. Yeah, it's Raheem Mostert, Sincere McCormick, and Zamir White. So, 25 touches a game seems like I'd take them more.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck is going to be starting as well at quarterback. He has Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed to throw to. Alvin Kamara, there's a decent chance that he puts up some numbers. So, that is there. The last thing, which I think is relatively important to point out, Rashawn Slater did practice today, despite the ongoing contract negotiations. He reported on time yesterday. He practiced today. I was curious what exactly Rashawn's approach would be if he did decide to come to practice, because obviously Derwin James did the hold in thing where he showed up at practice and then was onto the sidelines. I was curious to see what Rashawn would do if it came to that. It sucks that contract extension has not happened yet. But I think it says a whole lot about Rashawn as a person that he is out there practicing on day one of training camp when he really doesn't have to be. I think he's definitely earned the clout and things like that to be doing a hold in if he really wanted to. But he's out there practicing, no pads or anything like that. But I would imagine he played well at practice well today. But good news overall that he's out there practicing.
Yeah, love to see that. Was not sure what was going to happen there. Obviously, he's under contract, so it's not like there isn't a contract to play on, but you never know. But I'm glad he's out there. Like you said, he does not have to be. The Chargers would be screwed if he weren't out there. So this will get done at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. Curious who his left guard is going to be. Today it was Zion Johnson. Tomorrow will probably be Bradley Bozeman. God help us all. But I'm glad he's out there. I'm glad he's out there and showing, why he's a guy who has that like high work ethic, block of granite, patch kind of thing. Why was he a captain last year? Bozeman was, I think.
I believe so.
I think it was him and Bozeman. It was very Harbaugh.
He does have a captain's patch on his jersey from last year, so yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is, and then showing just why he is who he is. And I mean, the guy's been out there through double high ankle sprains and bicep injuries or pectoral injuries, and so yeah, glad he's out there. I do not want to see what it looks like without him.
No. Jim Harbaugh did indicate that they want Trey Pipkins to be the swing tackle for what it's worth.
Yeah,
I think that's his best role right now. Sounds like Jamari Sawyer has made some strides as a backup guard. So, the Chargers' depth up front is better than what is last year, obviously with Trey and Jamari as backups. But my thoughts about the starters are well known at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, Tyler, anything else from today? I can't believe that all happened on the first day of training camp. I feel like winded and like tired. We just had covered so much ground on the first day of training camp. It's kind of crazy. But any other thoughts before we jump into some super chats and questions?
Herbert's wearing red eye contacts. It wasn't just a joke at an ice cream store. He's actually wearing them.
Yeah. Apparently Jared Verse also does this. Lindsay Theory pointed out.
I guess.
Yeah. That's not surprising to me at all that Jared Verse would do that. But Herbert said that he tried to do a visor thing last year, but he kept on getting annoyed with how often he would have to wipe the sweat off of it. So he's doing the contact thing now.
Sure. Whatever works.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a firework proof joke, but that's okay.
Yeah. He's just really embracing his Anakin arc for all I know.
Yeah. I love it.
Jesse Aguilar was back here, says that he was just happy Slater is there. Good sign. Obviously, we agree. Appreciate Jesse for back-to-back super chats today.
Yes.
Hopefully you're having a great day there, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Don't Pull Out says, wild that I assume Mike Williams, retired before Keenan Allen. I suppose Keenan could technically also be retired, and we just don't know it yet. But yes, if you had asked me 2 years ago who would retire first, Keenan or Mike, I definitely would have said Keenan. Just based off of age, but that's what injuries do to you.
Yeah, I 3 years ago, if you asked me, I probably would have said Mike, only because there's just an injury history. The game doesn't translate. It's not sustainable long term. Keenan could get out there for a team and put up 500 yards as a slot receiver. But yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. We'll see what happens if Keenan ends up playing this year. I don't know. Hopefully he's staying ready, I guess. Steven Gillard says football is back. BTFU. Yes. Great news that football is back. I was so over all of the rankings lists and videos that people were doing, all of the stupid Eagles stuff from this offseason. I'm like, you guys won the Super Bowl. You're arguing about rankings. I don't get it. But yes, I'm just glad football is back. It was great to see some training camp highlights on the TL today. So it's awesome. Super excited that camp is here.
Yes. And how do I say this? Some individuals with sports media platforms are no longer going to have sports media platforms. And for that, I usually don't, celebrate that. But when you're what you do, bye-bye. Don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not know that certain individual made a rap video about Justin Herbert and the Chargers, which is crazy to me. But yeah, it's great to see. Last one in here from Dark Samus says Jalen Reagor was a first round talent for a reason. He was before you started evaluating, right? Because he was the 2020 class.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about him. So
I know Jason loved Jalen Reagor coming out. I didn't necessarily love him, but yeah, there was definitely some high takes out there, but him going over Justin Jefferson will never make sense to me.
Yeah, I got nothing. Couldn't tell you. I looked at the quarterbacks, and that's it.
James said, "Did you see Peak Panthers tweets? What do you think?" No, I did not. But thank you.
There's so many tweets. I don't know which one is the one that you're referring to, but yeah, there are, if nothing else, interesting and something Bradley Bozeman.
Yeah. I know that there's like a running bit he has with him and Bradley Bozeman, because I think Bozeman's wife like responded to him or something like that. But yeah, in particular, what he tweeted today, I have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
Okay. That is going to do it for us today. Hour and 1 minute on the first day of training camp. So we are not going to be live every day. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time to do that. But we will be live as much as we possibly can throughout training camp. Tyler's also going on another vacation in a few weeks from now, and I'll be on vacation in a few weeks from now. So we'll see what happens. I'll be at practice on July 28th. I'll do a video after that. But we'll be live as much as we can. Our next live is going to be Saturday after that practice. So they practice 5 to 7. We'll probably do something a little bit after that. Wait for some storylines and stuff like that to get tweeted out. But we will be here Saturday night and then again next Tuesday for you guys. So yeah, this has been another episode of the Guilty as Charged podcast. Appreciate you guys. The True Blue, one last one. Don't forget the rap video was a response to him being denied a press pass for the Chargers versus the Dolphins game. Yes, that is correct, which I did not know. All right, guys. We'll see you on Saturday. As always, bolt up.